Hi guys, this is Kitty. After I did a top 10 about my favorite heroines, I had to do another one about my favorite heroes of Final Fantasy. Now this is way more interesting for me because I'm a girl and eventually I can talk about who is hot, hotter, and the hottest guy of all time. Sorry for the boys out there, I guess for you the video is probably not gonna be that spectacular. Be kind and give me the thumbs up if you want to see more top 10s and fan videos. Subscribe, please. And now we get going, folks. Squall reminds me a bit of Lightning concerning the facial expression, but as you know, I kinda go for slightly depressive, permanent bug characters, and therefore it was a lot of fun listening to the perfectly amusing dialogues between our favorite Seed and the rest of them. He seems to have been some sort of prototype for Lightning because her weapon is almost identical to Squall's legendary gunblade. Although, I don't get it down to the present day when you gotta press the X button so this fucking thing shoots the enemy. Even though Rinoa and highly charged Zell make him come back to Earth again and again, they never get the little rest of secretiveness out of him. From the year on, Squall is surrounded by a mysterious aura, and you never get to the bottom of him completely. Hence, I consider the theory of Squall being dead since the crystal attack of Idea pretty definite, just like Orin. Bart is such a fun-loving boy who stays positive most time and gets in the leather so hilariously, that little jinx. Lots of fans love the aspect that he ranges the lands as a little vagrant and never actually gets a rest. He seems to enjoy being on his own with his chocobo friend Boko, and yet he didn't forget how to communicate with other people. Just imagine, for years he hasn't known anything else than his equals, and then suddenly meets a princess? I wouldn't know how to behave the right way. Without hesitation, Bart ignores his own problems, moves on from his old life, and goes to war against X-Death together with Lana, Galuf, and Ferris. I wish I had that flexibility.
My name is Cloud. Soldier. First class.
Half of my viewers would turn off at this point for sure, because Cloud's not a number 1 or not even under the top 5. But honestly, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't change anything on Cloud being a super cool character. My criteria of self-consciousness and strength are given, and I like that he doesn't talk too much. He doesn't do this though because he's constantly annoyed, but because most time there is nothing to say for him, and talking's not his long suit anyway. Particularly because of his legion of traumas. Zack's death, just to mention one of them. Pretty much like Tifa, I couldn't stand him at the beginning. He just looks like a milk face. I'm firmly convinced that if he hadn't have this great dark voice, he would have been a milk face. I know you don't want to hear it, but Crisis Core let me see him from a different angle once again. I simply watch Cloud and Zack with pleasure as best friends. Through his close relation to Zack, he's learned a lot, I believe, and I'm not talking about his combative qualities.
Stay where you belong. In my memories.
Emperors, kings, that's another story. I'm immediately thinking of the fake king from 4. who's got a striking resemblance to King Theoden, by the way. Or of the wannabe Pope Daisley from 13. But why bothering with a fat old bearded king when you can have someone like him? Girls lie at his feet, the royal household loves him. He's got the coolest brother in the world and everybody's helplessly outplayed by his charm. Edgar is a womanizer, a Casanova. Only Tara is hard to get for him. I liked how Edgar obviously spent a hustling and snaring her. Even so, the whole thing alleviates along the story plot, which certainly was a pity. In battle, I perceived him as very handy. His tools, especially chainsaw, have saved the lives of my group more than one time. Speaking of Squall, I've already mentioned that he's mysterious, and clouds a breath away him considering that. But the master of secretiveness stands in front of you, Vincent. Nobody's more reticent, cautious, or invisible than this seemingly obscure dude with his crimson red tattered cape and the pointed boots, who can easily pierce your fucking head, by the way. Although I don't prefer vampires, I think it fits him pretty much. If you play 7 blindly, then you'll probably be quite shocked as the casket lid springs up all of a sudden and Vincent comes out. Nevertheless, I couldn't penetrate into his secret.
I'm the one who should apologize.
He has a mystical way about him, almost demonic. I mean, look what happens when he's at ecstasis.
I suppose I could tell you, but wouldn't you rather see for yourself?
Comparing this hard-boiled hood with Edgar is even understated. No one can really stand a chance against the charm of Bolthier. Every little thing about him drives a girl crazy. His cheeky voice, the hair, his tight clothing, and finally the neat and spruce way of treating others. No way Bolthier is evil-minded or something, but a little bit malicious would appeal him very well, I guess. At least he doesn't think a great deal of being good as gold. If somebody's a daredevil, then he is. According to these circumstances, it was no skin of my nose that he wasn't the big boy in the game. Also, his relationship to Fran matches badly well, like the rainbow to the sky. They're like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Robert and Virginia, just a crook couple who just readily run riot sometimes. I don't mind if Bolthier wakes up next to me in my bed one sweet early morning.
Fran? Do I have to do everything around here?
I won't let you! You want to die with her? No! I want her to live!
Noel's a bit of a strayer as well, but a good one. Or more precisely a hunter, always equipped with a small sword for hurting his victims and a mega massive one for finishing off. His story of that weird parallel world where somehow you don't find anything else but mountainous snowscapes, I must say, I missed the point. Did he really live there all alone just with Caius and Yule by his side or what? Whatever. We're all happy that he finally left that boring world in order to enter another broken one through the gate of Valhalla by order of lightning in person, and he meets Sarah so that he could save Cocoon together with her yet again. I got the feeling as if Noel won't be told. His hair grows sassy over his ears, his Aladdin-like slacks are that loose that you could go camping therein, and he always gets his way. Not even Caius is able to intimidate him, which makes him extremely heroic in my view. You know it, guys. The voice makes a big difference for me. Dudes like Caius or Sephiroth stir my voice actor loving blood, no matter how they look like. Titus is rather in a lower class. For most of us. I, for one, became totally attached to him too. Titus is one of the most affectionate characters in the Final Fantasy universe. He always feels good, goofs off and teases people, is funny, and he's got the courage to do some crazy stuff. Even if he felt a bit awkward doing this, but that's the finest part of him.
You guys are smiling now, but not for long! 'Cause this year, us Aurochs are taking the cup!
I'm not aware of anyone else who cares that much about Yuna than he does. Actually, he's the only one who refuses to accept her fate, and in my opinion, this is the essential reason why Yuna's pilgrimage proceeded that much different than it would have. In addition to that, his talent as a blitzball celebrity makes an impression on her. I don't care if this sport's not logical or physically impossible. If I sat in that fucking stadium, I'd cheer the loudest.
I'd cheer and cheer till I couldn't cheer anymore.
The more I had to cry till I got out of water when they tragically had to say goodbye. Well, it's always the good guys, isn't it?
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
Cecil is the good soul beneath the heroes of Final Fantasy, the one who goes the right way, the paladin under the warriors. It is not for nothing that 4 is officially rated under the top 3 games of the franchise. The story plot, in its simpleness, is phenomenal. A man who could hardly complain about his financial means turns himself against wealth, safety, and appreciation as he recognizes where this path leads him to. He is a sinner, who's still got a tiny flame of light within him, so he is predestined to be a hero. Full of courage, he faces his evil reflection and defeats the old dark Cecil eventually, whereby he aligned himself with the good thing once and for all. He almost seems like a demigod, if you ask me. One man, one sword. Cecil takes the full responsibility for the group, and he rescues Baron from that fake king. Also, he's ready to atone for his bad deeds. We heard him enough times how he regrets the things he's done in Mysidia, for example. You gotta find men like him on a world like this in the first place. Before I answer off my top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Start running.
What?
I'll keep him busy.
But...
You survive.
Hijack Shinra Express, Mark 93-2. The train is currently headed to Midgar Sector 8. A soldier operative will be inserted to neutralize the situation. We are to proceed as scheduled. Commence mission in 3, 2, 1. Mark. Begin mission. Operative is ready for insertion.
The train has been overrun by Wu-Tai troops. Eliminate them and regain control of the train.
Oh yeah! Get serious!
I know there are plenty of Zack fans out there, so I don't have to explain a lot. I think it's obvious why we adore our true hero. There is a difference between calling himself a hero and being one. Zack's got everything that signalizes an irresistible hero. He's handsome, has his heart in the right place, is naive in a cute way but also brave, and he's a hopeless optimist. Even in a dying condition, a smile plays upon his lips. I find it impressive that he doesn't cling to life at death's door, but unselfishly passes his holy of holies to the next one. Anyway, friendship is something that plays a huge role in Zack's life. Angeal, Cloud, Cisne, he even had a good rapport with Sephiroth. He was desperately disappointed by many of them, yet he stands up and doesn't shy away from doing what needs to be done. Zack is a man of action. All about Aerith aside, if duty calls, he doesn't hesitate. For me personally, the ending of Crisis Core was the most epic and saddest one above all by a long way. All alone, he confronts hundreds of soldier troops and still keeps his honor. Now, you already took a shine to him throughout the whole game, and at the end Square Enix simply decided to let him die. What is going on with you? I'm doing quite well in envisaging something, but I couldn't even dream of this ending. All along I was like, he's gonna make this, he's gonna make this. He defeated Genesis, he would easily take on a bunch of idiots. Even as he was lying on the ground, and apparently his death was shortly before, I still kept talking to myself like a crackpot. He's gonna make this, he's gonna make this, he has to! I believe I was like 13 or 14 years old and wanted to show the cutscene to my little brother, because the cinematics always look cool. Wanted to show off a little, I guess. After I realized that Zack's gonna die, I just grabbed the PSP out of his hands, ran in shock away to hole up into the backmost edge of my room because I wanted to be alone in this terrible moment. I was left in disbelief that my great hero should die and a milk-sup-like Cloud, would take on his legacy. That moment when you enter the living room, puffy from crying, having to explain to your startled parents that it wears you out, your favorite video game character just died. Try that. Zack Fair stays my number one and my hero for the end of time. Who's yours? Can I do any better? Be free to discuss in the comments and don't bother making suggestions for the next top 10 videos. As usual, I'm going to upload this video again in German for my local subscribers. Have a good time up to that point, and bye bye!